Who are you? A simple question. Yet one of the questions that perplexed philosophers all the years. The certain self. René Descartes famously said, "I think, therefore I am." This suggests that our consciousness is the core of our identity. David Hume proposed that the self is not a single, it is not unchanging entity, but rather a bundle of perceptions and experiences constantly changing. The social self. Our sense of self is shaped by our interactions with others. We often define ourselves by the roles, relationships, and social identities. Consciousness is the subject of experiences, is intimately tied to the self. But what is really consciousness? And how does it relate to our sense of self? Is it part of our physical brain? Or maybe something more? Our body is integral to our sense of self. They shape our experiences, emotions, and interactions with the world. But how do our minds and bodies interact? And what role it plays in shaping our identity? Many philosophies and religions, spiritually and tradition, possess the existence of soul, a non-physical entity that endures beyond the physical death. But what is the soul, and how does the soul react to that sense of self? Is it a separate entity, or it's a description of the same consciousness that we have? Our sense of self is shaped by our relationship with others. How do we perceive ourselves? Are we individuals, or are we fundamentally interconnected? The ancient Greeks, especially Socrates and Plato, laid the foundation of the Western philosophy. Socrates famously questioned the nature of the soul and the body, and Plato introduced the concept of tripartite. I don't know if I pronounced that correct or not. The rational, spirited, and appetitive. To the medieval times, and now we go to the Augustine of Hippo, who explored the nature of self in relation to God. He argued that the soul is the essence of a person, and that is it immortal. The Enlightenments brought a new perspective on self. Descartes, with his famous dictum, "I think, therefore I am," emphasized the importance of the individual's consciousness. John Locke, on the other hand, argued that the self is a bundle of experiences. The 20th century saw a diverse range of philosophical approaches to the self. Existentialists like Sartre and Camus explored the concept of individual freedom and responsibility. Psychologists like Freud and Jung delved the self, dived into the unconscious mind and the influence to our identity. In this age, the digital age, our understanding the self is further complicated with the rise of technologies. The philosophy of self is a very complex and fascinating field that continues to inspire debates. By exploring the nature of our identity, we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the world as we journey through life. So what is the future of self-philosophy? As we look to the future, the philosophy of self continues to grow in emerging fields like neuroscience and artificial intelligence. And that should gives us an understanding of how do those sciences emerge within. And those raise various questions like, what exactly is consciousness and identity? We can gain deeper understanding through these studies. Eastern philosophers offer a unique perspective of the self, such as Buddhism, that emphasizes the impermanence of all things and letting go of the attachments. Hinduism explores the concept of Atman, the external soul, and its relationship with Brahman, the ultimate reality. In Islam, the self-discipline is essential for spiritual development. Muslims are encouraged to practice self-control, patience, and resistance. This comes of the fulfillment of praising God as Allah, self and environment, as well as our self-righteousness and self-consciousness. We tend to harm the environment around us, which causes tantalism issues during the current age that we live in. This can be resolved with plenty of solutions. Matter of fact, this is an urgent matter and it's supposed to be done by the end of 2050. How do our digital identities shape our real world identities? And how does it constants the stream of information affect our sense of selves? When was the last time have you really thought about yourself and what is yourself? In this digital world, we need to be really careful because ourselves is expressed twice. Thank you so much again for watching, and I really hope that you found this entertaining and educational. Don't forget to take a look on the links of studies that I put in the descriptions, and goodbye, ladies and gentlemen.